sports listeners. I'm your host, Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday.
This whole hour of Santa Barbara teen athletes. Woo! And we're talking all athletes. Good morning, Santa Barbara. This is Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. I tell you, there's not very many better places on the planet to live than Santa Barbara. And we're very fortunate to host a program, Community Hour, and bringing in the latest and the greatest community leaders. We have one of them today. I'm going to be introducing him in a minute, but let's go around. We've got Dr. Dugan today. Hey, D.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon when you're listening.
There you go. Don Sanders. We've got Raya Carpenter, our college coach. We're going to be getting the update here in a minute. And then Christine Marie, our tarot reader. How you doing, Christine?
I'm doing good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good. We got a little hygge coming later. I'm looking forward to that. But let's jump right into it. We've had a crazy 2 weeks. Shocking, actually, to me, when I first read the news report. We don't watch TV here in 463 Los Feliz, but I do get my News Hawk. I do my Santa Barbara News Press with Mike in the morning. And this News Hawk was an excellently written article. And I read it and I read it again. I posted it on my personal page, posted it on Facebook. And then I reached out to Angela Miller Bevan. The reason why I'm so attached to this is because Friday Night Lights has been a part of Teen Sports Radio because of Angela Miller Bevan. Teen Sports Radio was their sponsor of Jackson's team. And Dominique, you're going to remember the one. So Jackson's team has won 2 or 3 games, right? So we got the whole team, all right, in the shop on Santa Barbara Street. And of course, I don't know, I got dogged into making some kind of egregious bet of if they go undefeated, okay, I am going to take care of the team, the refs, the family, whatever, wherever they wanted to go. I think we even said the place, right?
Yep.
So lo and behold, 7-8 weeks goes by and all of a sudden I get the update. She's calling me from the game, actually. She's like, okay, we're in the championship game. Okay. And I'm like, great. And then she sends me a picture of the trophy. And I'm like, oh God. And all I'm doing is counting, right? How much is I'm going to lay out there. And the funny thing is this whole season, all she was doing was complaining about Jackson's shoes. Okay. So anyway, at the end of the day, she comes over, gave her $500. They all go out to eat. And there was a little left over. She said like $60.80, because she's so awesome, when it comes to honesty. And I go, something, you take that money, you go buy your son a new pair of shoes. Okay. I'm tired of hearing about the shoes.
It was an exciting season.
It was an exciting season. And now we're having a problem. We got 700 displaced families not knowing for playing. Okay, Friday Night Lights football. We have in the house with us right now the founder, him and his wife founded this. We got Ted Pollard in the house with us. How are you doing today, Ted? What's going on? Give us the latest.
Well, listen, we're still trying to work with the school district and getting these kids back on that. As you may know, we've been at Santa Barbara Junior High School field for the last couple seasons, and there's not a lot of options in this town where you have a field that size and that has lights and parking. So it's been challenging to find a solution, but we're still working with the district and we're reaching out to every private and public field in town.
Nice. Okay. We also have with us Stephanie, which is our newest co-host, Stephanie Forrest. And thankfully, and didn't know, you're just talking to somebody. She goes, oh, well, I know, our mayor, Randy, okay, you call him by his last name. But she goes, oh, let me give Randy a call. So Stephanie, what did Randy say? You're allowed to quote him.
Randy actually said to quote him. He is actively looking this morning. I explained to him about we don't want to be, it's not compatible with the theater that they're doing, and that we were flexible in possibly changing the time and date. He is exploring options with Park and Recreation, UCSB. I asked him if he could reach out to Maldonado, if he could use his position to talk to her about it. And he said, he is reviewing all options today. And I'm going to get back to him a little bit later. If there's any questions I can ask him that you would like me to add on to my next conversation with him today.
Oh, I know I would. I would love, I'm sure everyone knows about this sports complex that has been approved and planned for in Santa Maria. They bought some land. They're putting out several football fields with lights and parking. I mean, our goal, not just for Santa Barbara Friday Night Lights, but there's so many youth sports organizations in town that have a challenge finding field space with lights. And listen, when we say lights, that means getting these kids to a safe place on Friday nights and keeping them out of trouble, right? So we are looking for ultimately finding a home to house these kids at nighttime for evening games. And so anyway, Santa Maria just is breaking land, building there. We're hoping that Santa Barbara has that on the short-term radar.
That would be spectacular.
And I've also reiterated to him that this is part of summer, just like COVID. These kids need to be doing something to look forward to, something to put on their calendar, instead of, having us fall into another crisis of issues that come up when the kids don't really have anything to do. Because this is what they're really looking forward to. And the community's really looking forward to this.
Some of the emails that parents have shared with me the last couple of years with their kids' mental health and obesity and just overall wellness. It's affected a lot of kids. The last couple of years has not been easy. And the fact that we can't find a home right now for these 700 kids is worrisome, not just to me, but to hundreds of families. We've got to keep these kids healthy and active, and hopefully we'll find a solution.
And Teen Sports Radio is all about kids and teams, and flag football. It's such a safe sport to be participating in. It's so much fun, and it develops community.
It's probably it was the saving grace, I would say, to families through COVID, because let's face it, you created your own little micro hub of your friends because there's no draft. It's like, let's get 8 families together that we enjoy, and let's spend the weekends together. And this is great because this is how I raised both of my kids. I mean, I coached 8 years before I had children, but all through my kids' life. I mean, I was their basketball coach from KK to 8th grade, and it was the same families. I mean, I have these, memories that will last many lives because of the just to see kids grow. I mean, you go from diapers to graduation. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's awesome.
So Ted,
yes.
How can the community help you?
Well, we're asking for people to reach out to local schools that perhaps have facilities that could accommodate. I should say that it's not 700 kids playing on a field at one time. We only have about 150 kids playing like an hour. So parents are coming. Our flag football games at FNL are only about 55 minutes, an hour long. So families are coming, watching their game, and then the next shift of families coming. So it's only 250 bodies we're looking to field on Friday nights.
Right. And Randy also knows the challenges that happened over COVID because he knows my son. And I lost my son a little over 3 months ago. So this is a big issue, and we reached out about it when my son passed. So, he is aware, and that's part of this whole issue too.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Well, if somebody had, because we're not about complaining here, we're about, conflict is we want to resolve issues, opportunities. This is going to be an opportunity.
Yes.
So if somebody wanted to give you some ideas of just quick, and I'm sure you're fanning through hundreds of emails a day because it's funny because I ran around, I spent like 5 hours on the phone the first day that this broke. And now yesterday we're getting calls. Did you hear it? So I know it's working. Right. So the buzz is here.
And we're so appreciative of the support. But if people have suggestions or ideas or opportunities, they can email us at SantaBarbaraFNL@gmail.com.
Okay, say it one time.
Yes, they can. Any ideas, suggestions, or comments could come to SantaBarbaraFNL@gmail.com.
And
Great.
FNL is Friday Night Lights, right? FNL. Yeah.
Correct.
Right. And we want love, okay, and understanding. And if anybody has a relationship with the superintendent of schools and has an idea, a suggestion for Santa Barbara, an idea, a suggestion to help move this along, because the easiest thing would be to resolve your issues that you have, stay where you're at, and give the city an opportunity to build something for everybody. And that takes a little bit of time. But her email is hmaldonado@sbunified.org. And again, it's be nice. Okay. If you have an idea, a suggestion, a resolution, that would be fantastic. Because that's what we're here to do, is try to find a place where you won't have a cap. Look at it like this, Ted. We don't want to, we have 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th. We have 4 years of high school, which is we really need to focus on giving kids something to do. And let's face it, at the end of the day, I mean, this thing could go 4,000 kids. Okay. Because when you're trying out for basketball and you're not 6 foot and there's 60 kids trying out for Dos Pueblos High School, what are those kids going to do? Right. Okay. They only take 12. Okay, what are the other 48 kids going to do? Right. So this is a great option. We also, I've seen new sports come into town, lacrosse. I mean, you can throw bean bags. Need a field for that too. Okay, I don't know how many frisbee football. We've got all kinds of things that we could do. We just need a place for these people to play. And then what'll happen when these guys get older and they age out, then we could use it for adult league, because, you know, these kids, we're living longer. We like to do stuff. I mean, I played up in the majors for softball till I was 45 years old, you know, and then, I mean, so that you want to have things so you can never not have a sense of community and sports. And what you've done, obviously it's going to take off. It's going to be great. And we so appreciate you and your efforts and your wife's effort. I can't even imagine what it would be like living with you right now. I'm just kidding. But can you imagine? Honestly.
We'll get through this. And listen, when we are able to launch the adult flag football league, we'll expect Teen Sports Radio to build a team for us.
That's it. We got that team.
Erica is quarterback.
I was the quarterback at Westmont. I don't know how you did not know that. I mean, that's just great. Okay. Right. And I'm going to take the ball from Christine Marie. Okay. She's 6 foot. Okay. That's right.
5'11".
Okay. 5'11". Not with your cleats. With your cleats, you'll be 6'0", baby.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys so much for having us on. I really appreciate the support we're getting and help sharing our message. We truly appreciate it.
Okay, until this is resolved, we want to get updates from you, okay? And Stephanie, thank you for all of your help. Let's do this. We got to go to break. Ted's got a big meeting. We're going to all take a break and pray for you for this meeting, all right?
Thank you. Thanks so much, guys.
We've got right after these messages.
To put your black feet on the ground. Mustang Sally. Guess you better slow your Mustang.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Welcome back to Teen Sports Radio. I'm Raya Carpenter with Balanced College Planning. So my message today is directed to high school seniors. It's a continuation of the conversation about college essays. We talked about the main essay last time. This time I want to address the supplemental essay questions. So the main essay, that's going to give the reader of college applications a glimpse into your personality, your values, your interests, your background. You have a lot of freedom in what you can write about there. One thing you wouldn't want to do, though, is personalize your main essay. So you wouldn't want to say, you know, Dear Duke, you're my favorite college. You know, you wouldn't do that, right? Because the other colleges would see that, and that would be no bueno. The supplemental essay, however, is absolutely where you want to personalize what you write. So a lot of college counselors will say that the supplemental essay is actually even more important than the main essay because it helps them determine if you'd be a good fit for their community and their academic program. So in a second, I'm going to give you actually a couple examples of what these questions look like. You can find these in the Common App, and that's the colleges that use these supplemental essays. They're mostly private schools. So commonapp.org is where you go. And so here are some examples. Out of thousands of universities and colleges, what excites you about attending Chapman University specifically? Right? So you need to know a lot about Chapman University in order to answer that, well. A different college says, we believe that everybody has something to contribute and receive from a diverse community. Why is belonging to a diverse and inclusive college community important to you? Again, takes a lot of thought to figure out what you want to put forward in that essay. And then the last example I'll give you from University of Pennsylvania. At Penn, learning and growing happen outside of the classroom too. How will you explore the community at Penn? Consider how this community will help shape your perspective and identity, and how your identity and perspective will help shape our community. So this takes a lot of time, as I said before. The bottom line is that I recommend that seniors are spending time on this in the summer right now. Start August 1 is actually when I would recommend, because that's when these supplemental questions are official. So take a look at that. And again, I've told you this before, if you're looking for free essay writing tips, I suggest the Johns Hopkins Essays That Worked blog. And also the College Essay Guy has lots of free resources. You can just Google his name. That's it for me. That is so awesome. And my first hit was those suggestions of essays that you gave out. In my heart, I'm like, oh my God, if I were a college administrator and I'm reading this, you would now become charming to me. You would be a charming student, and I would want to kind of watch your application. You just endeared yourself to me because you love my college. Right. Yeah. Well, so that was my first thought. My second is, go ahead. No, go ahead. The second question is the main essay. Do the students write the main essay as though that main essay is going to multiple colleges? That's precisely how it is handled. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. And so, I've had students who haven't been admitted to like a dream school. And I've been in the position where I can, call up the college and say, hey, just looking for a little feedback. What happened on this student? And I've had the college on multiple occasions say, the why us essay was really weak. And that comes as an afterthought. I think students don't expect that they're going to have to answer that question. They don't take it very seriously. And that literally could end up being the make or break scenario for an applicant.
Hey, Rye, I have a question. And I don't know how this pertains to like the UC schools or the Ivy schools, but if you said my granddaddy and my daddy went to school, right? Yeah. Does that give you any points? Because I know like maybe three families, actually it was Notre Dame, all three families, because that's always been, I had Notre Dame wallpaper in John's room, his whole life. Didn't end up going there. Went to Holy Names, not Notre Dames. It rhymed. I knew there was going to be something. But I know three families, it didn't matter. I mean, not that and the grades were good. And they didn't get a perfect grade on the SAT like their parent did. Okay. But so what's the answer to that?
Yeah, so legacy can make a difference, but oftentimes it's not the thing that makes a difference. So sure, it can add some value to your application, but if you're not otherwise competitive, it's going to be difficult to gain entrance. Right. And the other thing is, if you're talking about writing in your essay about the legacy family member, that's not going to serve you well, because the essay is supposed to be about you. They're not admitting your grandfather to the school, right? So we want to know what your personality is like, what you're going to be like as a roommate, what you're going to be like as a student in my class.
Interesting. Okay, great. Well, as always, thank you. Stick around if you can. We've got a great interview coming right up after these messages.
And this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica Salter, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Forrester. My goal is to be a community activist here, and I am so pleased to introduce Rafa Vasquez, and he is a family friend, and he wants to share his story about his struggles and his losses through our fentanyl crisis. And he also wants to talk about his accomplishments. So I will shift this off to you, Rafa.
Hey, thank you so much, Stephanie. I really appreciate it. You guys having me. This is a great show. This is a really important topic to get on in the community. Actually, sorry, a little flustered. This is my first time on the radio. But I wanted to say thank you so much. This is a fantastic show. The program of Friday Night Lights has been a huge part of my life, actually, being a student athlete myself. Throughout high school, I realized, the importance of having an active hobby and having something that actually drives your life forward in a positive way. This is where my story comes. Right now, I'm in Ventura Recovery Center. I'm 21 years old. I'm a student at Santa Barbara City College, and I have 102 days sober today. Thank you. So if I was to start off my story, one thing that I would love to say is that I've always been a learn the hard way type of person. All the way throughout my life, always had issues with authority, had issues with school, had issues pertaining to my own self-confidence when it comes to the classroom, when it comes to actual learning. I've always been super enthusiastic about academics. I think that it's a fantastic way for people to broaden their horizons and become, set goals for themselves to become what they truly want to become. I was a varsity athlete at Santa Barbara High School. I played varsity football for 3 years. I played varsity lacrosse for 3 years. So I know that space well. Fantastic programs at both of the schools. So with that being said, I was very much into the social scene. I had a lot of quote unquote friends that I trusted, people that I let into my life. I was always at the biggest parties. I was always, trying to impress people because I felt so little of myself on the inside. I was a major people pleaser. Throughout the years, I found myself asking the question of how did I get to this point? When did it become an issue that I realized that I needed help with an addiction? Because I had never seen myself as a drug addict. I'd never seen myself as someone who actually, had something that I could contribute to society. But also I knew that the amounts of smiles that I could give people from the ways that I acted and the things that I did for other people. So this leads into my college life. My freshman year of college was the fall of 2019. Going into spring of 2020, I was in a studio apartment. I had been set up there by my grandmother and my mom because my mom had to move out of Santa Barbara because of financial issues. We had had a whole slew of things happen to us within that year. I had been hoping to go to college for football. I had been talking to a couple schools, but I had to end up going to homeschool because of this situation. So from the get-go, my mental state wasn't the most stable. I was very much lost. I had no specific goal in my life that I wished to achieve. I was kind of placed in this situation and I was kind of told, here you go, fend for yourself. So it was at this point that the partying really took off. I turned into a person that, I didn't go to school, but I said that I was in school because that's what everyone would have expected of me, was for me to have been in school. I turned into the person that didn't care about himself. He had no self-respect. I would do anything to make people happy, anything to make people laugh. And I felt like I had found a zone where I could succeed in that sense. Being in City College, I was at Beach City, which is right in between the college campuses. I had my own apartment in there. There was a lot of kids from out of town who had never been to Santa Barbara before. And, you know, Santa Barbara is one of the most beautiful places on earth. It's heaven on earth. So everyone there was in such high spirits. Everyone wanted to have the best time possible. And I was in the zone where I was so sad and I didn't have the tools to cope with these emotions that I was feeling. So I felt at home. I was escaping from my true self. I was escaping from the things that I held close to myself, my values, my morals. And slowly this journey began for me. So in March of 2020, when COVID-19 hit and the whole world was at a standstill, I was in this apartment and all of the people that I had learned to love, grown so close to me, left. And because most of these students were from out of town. So I was left to my own devices in this studio apartment. I had no will to go to school, even if it was online. If it was in person, I would show up every once in a while, kind of because I enjoy social aspects. I enjoy going out, seeing people, experiencing, the views Santa Barbara City College has to offer. It's a gorgeous campus. But I was all by myself. And at this point, I had all these emotions. I had all these regrets. I had all these things that I had kind of pushed myself to when seeking outside validation and seeking these outside things to fill up this hole that I had inside of myself. And if you guys don't know, that's not a healthy way to deal with things. When you bottle everything up and you just kind of run away from your problems, it never ends up working out the best way. So when COVID hit, most of the kids were gone and any sensible person was quarantining and people were isolating themselves and they were making sure that them and their families were protected, that they were in the safest position possible to actually see the future, because it was so unknown at that point. And so coming from my high school experience and all of the social circles that I had revolved around, I had known kids that, they did drugs. They were street kids. They were, people that obviously would not be the most desirable to someone who has goals in their lives and wants to actually push themselves forward in the social arena of life. And I kind of, at that point, I hadn't truly grasped that I had totally sold out and I had given up on myself and I had no drive to do anything because I didn't see a future for myself. And it was at this point that I started hanging out with these kids. They would come over to my house. They would, they'd be doing drugs in my house. And I had never seen myself as a drug addict. I had never been someone who had experienced drugs at that level. But since I was so alone and they had so much, it turned into, a drug party at my studio apartment. It was me and these kids who had nowhere to go that would come over to my house and we would do drugs together. And it was at this point that I was introduced to fentanyl. So the way that this started was they would come over and they would always have these little squares of tinfoil. They would have little squares of tinfoil that they'd put these little blue pills onto and they would smoke them. I had no clue what it was. I say that I was totally sold out, but I still had been raised in a nice family. I grew up in Big Sur. I was raised on a cattle ranch. I had been raised around a family who was very tight knit and held morals and had some standards for themselves. And at this point, I had kind of relieved myself of the burden of, carrying on my family's heritage. So when it came down to it, I would see them do this fentanyl on these squares of tinfoil, and I would watch them and I would cry and I would wonder what the fuck I'd become. Like, why are you guys doing this? And I would tell them, please don't do this in my house. It smells bad. It's not good. I don't like it. I really don't. And I would start crying because for me as a person, I've always been an optimist. No matter how much hope I lost for myself, I always tried to see the best in other people. And I tried to see, the things that society would label as red flags. I would try to look past those because I had been so opposed to the social stigma of, hatred, jealousy, envy, all these things. I very much loved people. I've always loved people and I've liked to help people. So it was at this point that it was probably about a month and a half into COVID. And, I had experienced them doing this for that amount of time at my apartment. And I was like, okay, well, if they love it so much and they won't stop no matter what, maybe I should try it. Maybe it's good. I don't know. I learned things the hard way, like I had said earlier. So I let them give me a little hit of one. And instantly I felt this rush down my body. I felt total relief from everything that I had ever felt in my life. All of this self-hatred, all of this self-judgment, this you're not good enough, all of these things, they seemed to disappear when I took a hit of that foil. And from that point on, I was hooked. I didn't realize the course that this would take me down, but I was also didn't see a future for myself that didn't involve what was happening in the present. And since my drug addiction was my present situation, that was everything for me. So flash forward a couple months during COVID, and I had moved apartments into a house right off of, it was on Miracannon. It was right off of Miramonte. It was a nice house with a nice family. I was renting a room from them because I was done with the social aspect. COVID had hit. And it was at this point that I had had people over every single day, no matter what, doing drugs. And they had noticed this constant revolving door of people coming in and out of my house. So I ended up being kicked out of that house. It was due to drug use because they could smell the Perk 30s through the door in the house. And they had dogs, they had cats, they were a very nice family. I think that the guy that I was living with was the CEO of so, a very prominent family, people that, they held themselves very highly. They didn't, and they saw something in me to allow me to even live there. It was a privilege for me to live there. And I abused that trust. And I took advantage of the situation and their kindness. So it was at this point that the day I was moving out of my house, I was walking to my friend's car to load up the car because I had asked my best friend Jasper, who had recently cut me off because of this addiction, and he had seen the course that it was taking me down. And he always loved me. He always had love for me, and he said that I could stay at his house, but he wanted me to get sober. And I was like, okay, I'll do anything. Like, I'll do it. I'm okay. Like, let's do it. So I go and I'm putting my stuff in the car, and we get in the car and we're on the freeway headed out to Isla Vista where he lived. And I get a phone call from his mom, and she says, Jasper and my best friend Enzo had been both murdered by a 15-year-old kid for a pound of weed. So that was off the board. I couldn't go and live with him. I had nowhere to go. My mom had moved out of Santa Barbara because she was in this situation where she couldn't come back because our landlord that we had lived with had threatened to kill her. And it was a very toxic situation. So I became homeless for about a month. During that time, I ended up spending a lot more time with those children those kids that I had mentioned before that I let into my life because they had nowhere to go. Well, now I became one of them. I had nowhere to go. So falling into that lifestyle and seeing the social layers that it took me down, I went from, being decently respected, being someone who had, I didn't always have the best grades. I wasn't always the best at sports. I wasn't always the best at anything in my life, but I was the best at doing drugs, and I was the best at making people happy. And I had a lot of people in my life that really trusted me and enjoyed my presence because of the things that I could provide for them, and money isn't everything. I could provide the things that money couldn't buy, and that's happiness. So
this is all happening in 2020?
Yeah.
Wow. So when you were at Santa Barbara High School, was there a layer of those kids that came from Santa Barbara High School, but you weren't attracted to it then, or you couldn't get any drugs at Santa Barbara High School then, or how was it your high school scene?
Yeah. So the high school scene at Santa Barbara High School, or the drug scene at Santa Barbara High School was very prevalent, actually. So one of the things that I noticed moving here to Santa Barbara is that there was so much more drugs and so much more debauchery that went on in this town during high school that I had never experienced in my life before. And that's one of the reasons I was so drawn to it. I was in the Matt Academy at Santa Barbara High for 4 years, 3.5, actually, counting the last semester I had to leave. But there was a lot of drugs, and it was kind of the cool thing to do was for people to do drugs. And the people that their families lived in Montecito and they had all this money, and they were these kids that had the nicest trucks, they had the nicest cars, they, had all this money to blow on the nicest bongs, all these things, coming from a single parent household where I didn't have the ability to kind of, I didn't have the ability to get these things for myself. Obviously, I'm going to go and hang out with the kids that do have this stuff.
Right.
So
no, what we have to do is we have to take a little break, but I know we all have questions here for you. So let's take a little break. This is Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. We'll be back with more after these messages.
Well, now together we will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and a man. Together we'll stand, divided we'll fall. Come on now, people, let's get on the ball and work together. Come on, let's work together. Now, people, because together we will stand, every boy, every girl, and a man.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday.
9 a.m.
Welcome back to Team Sports Radio. This is Don Sanders, Don's Massage and Ojai.com, and we've been speaking today about a very topical issue about what happens to kids after school times. You know, what happens in all our communities. As I listened to our guest today speak, I was reminded of problems that have beset my older son, who, was living with my ex-wife in Camarillo and would just disappear, on his bike at night, 3 a.m. And I was just in a community meeting in Ojai talking about problems in the school right now, and about how some parents are using, the schools actually are using some locator programs that go on the phones and so forth, because the phones are ever present. And there have been efforts even amongst some of the administration in the school district sometimes to locate and talk to these kids in the middle of the night. And part of what they've been teaching and training is not to judge and to, really kind of drop the sort of the stereotypical roles of parent and child and just try and relate to the children, because we all went to school. We all think we know what it was like, but it's so obvious, so many different examples now of how this is not the environment that most of us remember growing up in school. So I don't know if there's anything that would have helped in your case, and during the night, what anybody could have done, or what you think is a good way to bridge some of this, to be able to reconnect kids and parents and other people that are willing to help, family, friends, and things in a new way that might be able to address some of these problems.
So you didn't think that you had you didn't think that Rafa, sorry. I don't want only your friends say Raf. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very
okay. All right. You look more of a Raf to me. Okay. It's very French. You did not have the resources but then again, you weren't acknowledging that you had a problem. So you were kind of, split, right?
Yes, totally.
So you can't really say, oh, you didn't get any help. But then at the time you weren't ready to get help.
Yeah, no, I definitely hadn't reached that point where of the desperation and the complete surrender to where I realized that, what my life had become. It wasn't until, right now I'm at 100 days. It was probably 4 months ago at this point that, I supplemented the fentanyl use. I've been 10 months sober off of fentanyl, but I supplemented the fentanyl use for cocaine, and I turned into isolating in my room and doing cocaine every day with one of my friends who is very, very generous to me. And he was, one of the best people I've ever met in my life. He really cared about me. He would scream and cry at me and tell me I'm addicted and all these things. And throughout the course of these few months I've been talking about, I've lost around 10 friends, 10 really close people to me, actually. One of the ones that weighs on me heavy is my friend he had never really been a drugger. He was going to Irvine. He was, very prominent student. But I tried to kill myself 4 months ago because I'd seen what I'd become. I'd seen the impact that I'd had on my friends, my family, all these people that I had lost. I saw no hope for my future. I saw nothing because, when you're losing all of your friends, the people that you go and confide in when you don't feel like you can go talk to your family about these things, it really creates that mental isolation. And it reached that point of desperation where I was like, you know what? I'm not benefiting anyone. I'm not benefiting society. I'm not pushing myself forward the way that my family believes I can. So what's the point of me being here wasting all of these resources?
Oh.
And
very well said. Let's get to Raya. Raya, you had an offering.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take much of your time because what you're saying is just so important. But I just want to say to you, Rafa, looking at you, you are filled with light. You have this ability to connect with people. I think you already know that. And the fact that you are being so open and honest and frank so soon into your recovery, you're gonna affect so many people. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you so much. That's so nice.
Well, I can tell you one thing. You are definitely going to affect a lot of people because you have a stage or a floor or a piece of Santa Barbara teen sports as long as you need it. If it would help you to tell your story, I would love to offer the platform. I mean, thank you very much, Stephanie, because that's what we want to do. We want to get teens and kids out here, kind of like a mentorship program. We could start it today.
We need to be talking about this.
Right.
Right.
We got to talk about the elephant in the room. That's what we got to do. This is Erica Salda. We got a lot more after these messages.
Brazil. Back in the USSR. Way down in LA. Every day, dancing in the street. Crossing China too. Me and you, dancing in the street.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica Salda, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Welcome back to Teen Sports Radio. This is Christine Marie with A View from the Deck. And we've been listening to Rafa Vargas and his story of addiction and finding his way out. Thank you so much, Rafa, for what you shared so far. And I feel like we need more discussions with you. The thing that I'm thinking about is how, is my understanding that the wound is the doorway to the gift, is that thing that is the most difficult, that we would think is a challenge is actually that way through which we can bring what we have to the world. And I see that in your story, especially as you were talking about really wanting to connect with people and loving people and wanting to bring joy to people and losing yourself in that. And it's such a beautiful aspect of knowing that in a way now you've really found yourself in that. And there's a new part of you that's coming out to share something, to share that light as Raya noticed, and we can all see.
Alex Ramirez is also in the house. He has a lot of experience with kids. Alex, what say you?
Hi, Rafa. I'm just catching the tail end of your story. Thank you for sharing. And I went through that as well with alcohol. I went through AA. I had a relapse, last year on my 10-year anniversary. So, and then, you just get back on it. That's all you can do. Like they tell you, one day at a time. You wake up sober, you try to stay sober. That's all you can do. And bravo to you. I mean, I don't have a question other than just, hey, bravo to you. Keep trucking. You're in the right place. You're in the right environment. You have a good head on your shoulders. Just stay with it, man, because don't give up. You have a lot of life to live. Yeah, I can tell you got a lot to give. So stay with it. Stay true to yourself.
I wanted to ask if we have time, if Rafa, where was it the place? I don't know if we have time, but maybe next time. Where was the place that you found your way out? That you got to that bottom?
So when it reached that point where I had totally given up on myself, my mother had actually been noticing, obviously, throughout all this time, and I tried to be completely transparent with her. But also, I'm a very stubborn person. I like to do things myself. I like to get stuff done for myself. I've always been that type of person. But So she looked up online a recovery center because she saw the path that I was going down. And I'm out here at Ventura Recovery Center in Thousand Oaks. It's a fantastic environment for me to be able to, really see the effects and the similarities that I have with other addicts and hear their stories. Working the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Rafa, what we've got to do. Nice. No, you're good. We've got to, I'd like to bring you back again next week.
Because we want to hear about the recovery center, because the kids, people need to know what's available.
Right. And then Angela Miller Bevan, maybe next week she'll join us. She's got a lot to add, but this is Erica Salda. We ran out of time. God bless.
God bless.
One day at a time. God bless. One day at a time, folks. We'll see you next week.
Hope is still there. Hope is available
for you.
Hope
is still there.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Rafa.
You're the best around. You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever bring you down. You're the best around. Nothing.